guys, Novaexplosion. Welcome back to more Horizon Forbidden West. I almost said Zero Dawn, which wouldn't be completely incorrect, but it would be incorrect in this case. Oh, we're back with the game. Man, the loading screens are so quick. Back with the game, we did, I think the last thing we did was the chain scrape side quest. We did the one for, Milnook. Was that his name? The guy, the cook guy? The guy who cooked the food for Aloy? I think his name was Milnook. We did his quest, and then we did the miner quest. The only thing that remains to do is the bristleback quest. There's actually something over here I wanted to explore. I apparently didn't get done. I think it's the... What's this? Machine Strike Beginner. Is that some kind of side quest? It said unknown before, but I was editing the video and I was like, dude, I got the unknown, but I never got... I don't know what this is. It says Machine Strike. We'll go take a look, though. That must be for the, quest.
Aloy, change your mind about that brew? No one wants to play strike. No? Come for that beer after all, eh? Here, sit down. Get a pint in her hand. Wasn't expecting you to swing by.
Since when do I do what's expected?
Ha! There's that spark. Fire and spit.
Fire and spit.
That's a blast from the bellows. Won't fix the forge, but at least I can forget about my troubles for a while.
Like what?
Take your pick. We got bodies to bury from the bristlebacks, the work stoppage, Olvin grating the gears about his concession decree. Hey! Weapons off the table! Ah, don't listen to me. Nothing a cold brew and knocking some heads together can't fix eventually.
I don't even know if this is for the main story or not. It probably is.
So the bristlebacks in the Daunt. Where did they come from?
That's the thing. No one rightly knows. They just showed up one day, rampaging around the valley like they exploded out of a forge. Lost some good people. But I heard talk of some vanguards trying to take them down.
Did they come through here?
Stopped by briefly for supplies. Olvind was none too pleased. Won't be able to crank it to his advantage once the bristlebacks are gone.
But how could bristlebacks and the Daunt help Olvind?
2 words. Concession decree. Since no one knows where the bristlebacks came from, Olvind has taken to blaming the Karja for him. He's hoping to dig up enough old resentments to get a strike going until the concession's signed. This is just his latest attempt. He's been trying to rile up the workers since the day he rolled into town.
And people actually believe him?
Lots of folks suffered at the hands of the Mad King during the Red Raids. Give him half a reason, they'll blame the Karja for anything.
Damn Karja slavers.
I thought you'd be back in Freeheap.
Well, after the big battle at Meridian, I went back, but realized it was running smooth. Didn't need me. Heard about the rebuilding out at Barren Light. Figured they could use another hammer. Been scraping by ever since.
You could always leave.
And go back east? Nah. I ain't one to leave a lit forge. Besides, someone's gotta be a squeaky wheel for the workers around here.
So about Olvind.
Around here, everything's about Olvind.
How'd he end up in charge?
He got here early, like a squirrel smelling a fat nut. He knew rebuilding Barren Light would need stone and timber. So he jangled purses all over Mainspring, getting investors to front claims on anything in the Daunt that might be worth a damn. Thing is, all the bankers back home know that this is Karja land, and the Sun King can revoke those claims at any time. That's why he's desperate for the magistrate to sign off on a concession decree.
Well, I have to be going. Thanks for the drink, Petra. I'm glad I stopped by.
Anytime, Flamehair.
I don't know if that was mandatory, but it was nice to do. Anyway, let me see. Machine Strike? A board game? Yo, is this gonna be like...
Fancy a game of strike?
Is this gonna be a Fort Condor equivalent or a runic chess?
Ah, come to revel in some strike, sister? Let me set the board.
I was just passing by.
First timer, huh? Don't worry about it. I'll go easy on you. You got any pieces?
No.
Well, aren't you in luck then? I got an extra set, a Tanakh original straight out of the Forbidden West. Sit. I'll run you through it in a hot spark. I'll give you something special if you win at all my boards, too.
Yo, is this gonna be like, oh, a minigame? I'm down. This looks cool. Okay, tutorial, yeah.
All right, let's start off simple. The Tanakh like to say that Machine Strike is a game of pure strategy.
This is basically like
We each
chess.
get a set of pieces. Each piece represents a kind of machine, and each machine is worth a different number of victory points. And to win the game, you'll need to gain 7 victory points by destroying the opponent's machines. It can be tricky remembering the details of every machine, so we use these notes to keep track of them. You see that number on the top right corner?
Oh, so is it
There's
the,
how many victory points you'll get for destroying that machine.
Okay.
Notes also tell you how far a piece can move, how powerful their attacks are, the distance they can strike from, and of course, their health.
Oh, this is interesting.
Okay, that's enough for now. Let's just play. I'll explain the rest as we go. I own the board, so I get to choose who goes first. Since this is your first time, I'll let you go.
Oh,
Usually
how
you get to
nice.
choose which pieces to set on the board, but this will do for now. Pick up that machine piece to your right, and move it forward.
Okay, so this one, for example, can move 2 spaces. It's got 4 health. It can attack with its attack power is 2, which means it takes 2 HP off the opponents, I guess. And what's the second one again? I don't remember. Ah, whatever.
And remember, each machine can only move a certain distance. Take a look at your notes if you need a reminder.
Okay, yeah, so we can move either way, just 2 spots.
Easy enough, huh? Now,
Oh, whoops.
perfect. There's not much else to do for now, so just end your turn. We're forging onwards. Let me move my pieces here. And we're back to you. This time, why don't you try attacking one of my pieces? Try with that machine on your right first.
I thought those become 0.
Now move the piece close enough to attack one of my... When performing an attack, you'll be testing your machine's combat power against the opponent's. A machine's combat power is a combination of the terrain your machine is standing on and its own attack power. This board only has grassland terrain, which has no effect on a machine's combat power.
Interesting.
And your current machine has 2 points of attack power. So in total, your machine's combat power equals 2 points. Since my machine isn't the one attacking, it has 0 points of attack power. And just like your machine, it's not affected by grassland terrain. So right now, the difference in combat power between the 2 machines is 2 points. This means your machine can do 2 points of damage to my machine. Did you get all that? Knew you were a smart one. Finish up by attacking my machine.
Oh, so I guess that's range. The second one is range, so I have to be 1 space away to hit it.
Not pulling any punches, huh? Now grab that second machine of yours. See how your machine can't move close enough to attack mine? You can make your machine sprint. That lets it move 1 space further. Try it out.
Wait, what?
Downside to sprinting is that your machine can no longer attack.
Oh.
Now, some players like to take a risk and overcharge their machine in cases like this. Overcharging lets you attack after a sprint, but it will damage your machine's health by 2 points.
Oh, it's like a
So
gamble.
use at your own discretion. Let's try doing that now so you can see what I mean. That's about it for your turn then.
This is a really neat minigame. I like it so
Let you
far.
in on a neat trick. That machine of yours, the one closest to me, grab a hold of it. Same as in the wilds, machines have both armored points and weak points. You can see them marked on the pieces. Blue shows where their armor is thickest. Hit them there and you'll do some damage, but not a lot. Now, red shows the machine's weak points. Hit those and you'll deal a mighty blow. Here, let me show you. Rotate that piece so your machine faces mine.
Oh.
Now let that machine have it. Off the board she goes, and there's your first victory points. You don't have 7 of them yet, so let's keep going. Your machine attacked mine, but hasn't moved yet. Go ahead and move downwards towards my remaining piece.
Dude, this is a neat minigame. I really like this.
You've already attacked a machine and moved your piece. But if you overcharge your machine, you can attack a second time. And by the look of your machine's health, you'd be sacrificing your piece to defeat mine. But sometimes that can be a good thing. Overcharge your machine to attack mine a second time, and I'll show you what I mean. Ain't that a thrill? Now, because your machine was knocked out at the same time as mine, we both get the victory points our machines are worth. Good news is, since you're the one attacking, you're gonna receive your victory points before I do. Which means you can reach the coveted 7 victory points first. That's why sometimes losing a piece can be the best way to end a game in your favor. Now, you'll notice you didn't get quite up to 7 victory points this time, but you did destroy all my pieces. That means you're the winner!
Dude, I like this minigame.
Wasn't so hard, was it? Just remember to always check for the best terrain to attack from. You'd be surprised the advantage you can gain over an opponent like that. I know it saved my behind in a game or 2.
I'll try and remember that.
Oh, before I forget. These are all my spare pieces. I want the Savior of Meridian to have them. It's a small set to be sure, but it should be enough to get you in on any strike games you find out there. You might even fancy looking out for them strike carvers. They've got all kinds of unique pieces that can turn a game in your favor, though they'll need the right materials to craft you one. Or you might find them in the wilds if you're lucky. I know I've lost my fair share of pieces after a night of machine hunting or brew hopping. No need to thank me. Always a pleasure to help out new strike players. Now, if you feel like playing a real game, I've got plenty of other boards. I could even teach you a few more tricks if you're up for it.
Thanks. I'll think about it.
Oh, I'm down. That's really cool. That reminds me of Fort Condor. We could probably do another game. Terrain and knockback tutorial. Try this one.
I knew I'd make a strike player out of you yet. How about this time I tell you how to use a board's terrain to your advantage? This one's got all the different terrains you can encounter in a game of Strike. Knowing when and how to use them can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Terrain mainly affects your machine's combat power. As you know, when fighting an opponent's machine, you compare its combat power to yours. The higher your machine's combat power, the more damage you can do. So finding the right terrain is an essential strategy for overpowering your opponent. Here, I'll show you. Grab that piece to your left and move to attack my machines. Now let's take a look at your machine's combat power. Combat power is the sum of a machine's attack power and the value of the terrain it's standing on. Since your machine is attacking, it's using its 2 points of attack power. It's also standing on forest terrain with a value of 1 point. Add those together and your machine has 3 points of combat power. My machine is standing on grassland terrain with a value of 0 points. It's also not attacking, which means their attack points aren't in play. So my combat power is 0. This means your machine can do 3 points of damage. Go ahead and test it out.
Ooh, when we get to some terrains, this is gonna be very interesting. Goodbye.
There you go. Now, choosing the right terrain doesn't just improve your offense. It can also help defend your machines from attack. Grab your other piece and place it in front of my second machine. Since your machine is attacking, it's using its 2 points of attack power. It's standing on grassland terrain. This terrain has a value of 0. This means your machine's combat power adds up to 2 points. My machine can't use their attack powers since they're defending their position. But they have the higher ground. They're standing on forest terrain, which is worth 1 point. This means my combat power adds up to 1 point. Now, the front of my machine is colored blue. This means that the spot you're about to attack has armor protecting it. Which means my machine gets an extra point, giving it a total of 2 combat power points. If we compare the combat power of both machines, you'll see that you won't be able to do any damage. Whenever you're unable to top an opponent's combat power, you can still choose to attack and break their machine's defenses instead. Go ahead, try it out and see what happens. Ha! See? When you break a machine's defenses, you can knock it backwards. Sure, both our machines will receive 1 point of damage, but knocking my machine off that terrain makes it more vulnerable to attacks. Not only that, if my machine had been blocked from moving backwards, it would have received an extra point of damage. And if my machine had been blocked by another one of my pieces, that machine would have received damage as well. That's why breaking a machine's defenses is a great way to deal damage to several pieces at once. Useful, right? Okay, now go ahead and end your turn. There's still one more thing I want to show you. Alright, as we've seen, the higher the terrain, the more it'll add to your machine's combat power. However, there are 2 other terrains that work a little differently. This is what we call a chasm. Only flying machines can be placed on those. But it'll take away 2 combat points if you do, so be wary. This is marsh terrain. Landing on it will take away 1 combat power point from most machines. It'll also keep your machine from moving for the rest of the turn. Here, let me show you. Grab that machine on your left.
Oh, so this takes out 1. This is gonna really come into play with strategy.
See? All you can do now is wait for your next turn to move again. Or you can overcharge your machine to get out of there. You can still attack any nearby enemies so you're not completely helpless. Well, I think that's enough yammering from me for now. Promise it'll all come in handy next time you play.
I definitely want to get these tutorials done. And we'll definitely play more of this Machine Strike game later.
Here for more tips? Why don't I tell you a bit more about the pieces we used to play? In a normal game, you get to choose which machines you place on the board. Each one is worth a certain number of setup points, and you can spend up to 10 assembling your army. Knowing what each machine brings to the game and building an army that matches your strategy is the key to becoming a machine strike master. When assembling your army, there are a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, you can never have more than 4 of the same machine on the board at the same time. With that in mind, most players would choose machines based on how far they can move or how much attack power they have. But a real strike player will be looking at a machine's type and skills. Let's take a quick look, shall we? Pick up that machine on your left.